Hi guys, got a request to make a rubber band powered car. Haven't had a request for a rubber band powered car for weeks. Or is it months? Seems a while. Anyway, Raymond Pastor, who also seems to use the name Rick Santos, wants a rubber band powered car made from a Matchbox using no hot glue and no CDs. We can use toy car wheels, apparently. I did ask what size Matchbox I could use, and he's come back and said any size. Well, you can see here there's quite a selection in sizes. Making a rubber band powered car out of one this big would actually be quite easy, especially if you glue it fairly well open like that, so you've got quite a length for your rubber band, so you can get a reasonable amount of distance with it. That one's not much different, about the same. They were going to trick me there, weren't they? They were upside down. Similar there, and then when you get down to one this size, you're a bit limited on your length of rubber band. So I think I'll try and make one out of this one, just because it will be the hardest. Doesn't say whether I can actually use the matchsticks at all, because they would be quite handy for strengthening it if we glue them along the sides to stiffen it up a bit. All it says is no hot glue and no CDs. Obviously this cardboard's not very strong either. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to glue this one together, and because it doesn't say I can't, I think I might glue some of these along the inside to stiffen it up. Then I'll just poke a couple of holes through for the axles to go through. I'll have a look in my junk box, see what sort of wheels I've got, and we'll see if we can make one with that. I should be able to chuck those matches in there so I don't lose them. Let's get started. Doesn't want us to use hot glue, so I'm going to use super glue, which is usually pretty hopeless for me, because I usually end up gluing myself together instead of what I'm trying to glue. First thing we want to do is glue this open. There's quite a gap there. It's not such a tight fit as I was hoping. I could just use coffee stirrers to stiffen it up. And if you're not restricted, I would definitely say use coffee stirrers to stiffen it up. But then you might just as well make the car out of coffee stirrers. So I'm trying to stick with the spirit of the thing. And do it like this. Right, so I want some glue. See what I mean? I just always squirt it everywhere. Make a complete mess of things. Hate the stuff. Let's try and do one side at a time. very definitely not going to be very strong. Oh, that didn't work at all. Right, we'll leave that for a few seconds to set, whatever it is that super glue does. Doesn't really dry as such. Right, wheels. Found these car wheels. They look plenty wide enough. We need to attach the rubber band at the front, and then we've got to be able to wrap it round the axle. So we need the axle to be in a little bit to leave space for the rubber band to wrap round it, behind it. Alright, we'll try and get the wheels parallel. Putting a mark on the end. Actually, that's too close. Need it in a bit further. Let's make a hole. Need a hole to attach the rubber band. Right. It feels like it's a loose fit, but not loose enough. I'm going to open that hole up a little bit. it'd be a good idea to make little card washers to go in between the edge of the bodywork and the wheel to reduce the friction. I'll try it without, but if we need to, that's what you can do. Just put little washers in there to stop the wheels rubbing directly against the bodywork. Right, front wheels. Cut these. So that's our wheels and axles in place. Now we need a rubber band. Now you don't want it to be very strong for something this small. I'm thinking of actually cutting this. Because that'll actually make it weaker. It's only a single length then. Now we need to attach the rubber band to the back axle. It's a little bit small and fiddly to demonstrate. What you need is the rubber band to go, let's try and use this, over the axle. And you need it to wrap over itself like that so it holds itself in place. But when I try and do that on there, I think my fingers will probably get in the way so you can't see clearly what I'm doing. There you go. Once it's got itself on there, it holds itself in place. So there we go. What we need to do now is try it. Right, let's see how we go. Well, it worked. Didn't go terribly far, but it definitely worked. What we want to do now is see if we can improve the performance a bit. One thing I've done here is I've put a little hook on the back axle so it's easier to attach the rubber band. All I've done there is I've got a thin piece of wire. I've wrapped it right the way round like that. And then I've wound it up tight like that. Cut it off short, so we've got a little hook and then a bit of super glue on there to actually stick it to the axle. I put a little bit of baking powder on top of that and that dries the super glue. Probably can't see it on there. It's just a little bit of baking powder and that helps the super glue dry. So that gives us a hook for the back axle. Another improvement we could do that I haven't done is strengthen the sides here. Because this is only cardboard, every time I tension the rubber band, it's tending to fold the sides. The tension's pulling it that way. So like I said right at the beginning, you could glue some matchsticks on there and that will stiffen this area here, stop it folding up. I'm not going to do it, but you could do that. These wheels are not good wheels, because although they're rubber, because they've got these deep tread on them, there's not actually very much rubber touching the ground at any one time. If they were smooth, they'd have much more grip. But I haven't got any suitable wheels at the moment. I think that's about it. It does work, but could easily be improved. Getting a little bit more serious now. I've increased the performance. I did what I said. I've used a couple of matchsticks to strengthen the top of the cardboard there. I've changed the wheels to bigger wheels, still from a toy car. Well, in fact, these came from a toy tractor. And now we're able to use a full rubber band instead of cutting it in half. So I'll wind it up and see how we go. Here we go again. I think that'll do. That's putting us just up to the 5 metre mark now. So I better show you what changes I made. Obviously, back wheels are bigger. That's more about... Obviously the back wheels are bigger. That's more about adding weight to hold them on the ground, because the small wheels were just spinning. And then I've stiffened up the cardboard here with a match... Oh, can't I get the words out? Just to run through the changes we made for that last run. Bigger back wheels, that's more about adding weight than just making them bigger, because the small wheels had no grip, they just spun if I wound the rubber band up. I already showed you that I've added this little hook here so that we can actually connect the rubber band easily. I've stiffened the cardboard with a matchstick on the inside and a bit of coffee stirrer on the outside. The matchstick is to give it strength. The coffee stirrer is actually to stop the axle being pulled forwards through the cardboard, because I dropped it on the floor and that pushed the axle forwards and made the axle hole much bigger, so it was right up to here, so it was going out of line then. So the easiest fix there was to put bits of coffee stirrer on the outside so that the axle can't pull forwards anymore. And then we got a normal rubber band now instead of one cut in half, and we're doing about 5 meters. It would have been much easier to use a larger Matchbox, because then we can put more rubber bands in it for length, so we can get more turns, so you can go further. But I thought I'd use the smallest one because that would be the most difficult one to get a distance. Summary time. The original request was to make a rubber band powered car out of a Matchbox. So we have a selection of sizes of Matchbox we could have used. I used the smallest one simply because that would be the most difficult. The bigger you go, the more rubber bands you can use, so the easier it is to travel a distance. Whereas with the small one, we're limited to just one rubber band. Now originally I cut it in half to reduce its power when I was using the small wheels. But now I've gone up to bigger wheels and heavier wheels. I'm using a normal rubber band. Still a lightweight one, but without having to cut it in half. On the back axle, I bent a little bit of wire to give us a hook to hook the rubber band onto easily. So that hooks on there nice and easily. To stiffen this cardboard, because that started to bow out when we put tension on the rubber band, I've super glued matchsticks on the inside, and then I actually dropped the car on the floor, and what that did was it pushed the axle forwards. Where I pushed a hole through for the axle to go through the cardboard, dropping it actually extended the hole forwards by about 1/4 of an inch, so it was then twisting off to one side. So to repair that, I've actually glued pieces of coffee stirrer on the outside, and they actually stop the axle sliding forwards. I put it on both sides, so that's to strengthen or prevent the axle pulling itself forwards through the cardboard. What else did we do? Oh, we super glued the tray inside the sheath, I suppose we could call it. In other words, the inside of the matchbox is super glued to the outside of the matchbox in the open position. I think that's everything covered off. I just pushed a hole through there so we can loop the rubber band through. Push the rubber band through, then loop it through itself. That holds it at the front there. And I think that's it. So rubber band powered car for Raymond Pastor, or Rick Santos, because he goes by both names. Or maybe he was using somebody else's ID to send me a message. And he wanted no hot glue and no CDs, but I could use toy car wheels.
Hey, thanks for watching. There's plenty of videos on my main channel with more added daily, so don't forget to subscribe and enable the notifications to keep you up to date with my new releases. My second channel, Grandad's Other Channel, is where I put the longer videos with more detail. Then there's my Facebook page, and you can follow me on Twitter. You can help keep my channel running by donating $1 on Patreon to buy me coffee. And if you fancy some Grandad merchandise, I have 2 shops, one on Redbubble and the other on Cotton Cart. Finally, you can always find more information in the video description. Thanks again for watching.